ready.
Heidi-ho neighbors, Rado Goji here.
And I'm Soylent Greg.
And welcome to another tier list video.
I'm enjoying these tier list videos so far. I hope we make many of them and that they're better than the Super Mario 64 one. I apologize for that.
So with mine, I went with just Legend of Zelda games because I figured that's generic enough.
Big shock.
And I mean, I don't know if it's hard for me to say that it's my favorite. I mean, it's easy enough to say that it's my favorite series because it has many of my favorite games of all time, but including my most favorite game of all time. But it also has a lot of my not so greatest games of all time, including my most hated game of all time.
So that actually makes it excellent, uniquely excellent for a tier list.
Yes, and just a heads up, a lot of people are going to very much disagree with some of these choices because,
yes.
You know, I'm a special snowflake, I guess, but also, you know, my opinions don't necessarily match up with others, so...
This video is a safe space for you to express your Zelda opinions without fear of judgment, except in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. I initially wanted both Greg and I to do this one, but I then remembered, hey, Greg hasn't played all of these, so...
I haven't, but I'll interject plenty.
That's fine. I don't even think this is all of them. I don't think Triforce Heroes is on there. That's fine. I don't like Triforce Heroes, so that's okay. So the first one on the list here is Four Swords. I guess technically Four Swords. It has the Game Boy Color title screen for the Link to the Past remake as well. Mm-hmm. But I'm counting this as Four Swords because it doesn't have its own thing.
Quattro Espadas.
Yeah. I remember having fun with this one. But like it's not the greatest. Like there's a lot of I don't know how to really word it. There's a lot of a lot of differences obviously with the way that it is. The first multiplayer Zelda game. And it's not really something that I can really play with people again. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it a B.
I was going to say the multiplayer is for being the first multiplayer Zelda game, that's excellent, but it's also the multiplayer is kind of half-baked and it's difficult to get people together to play it because it doesn't have matchmaking servers or anything like that.
Especially considering the only ways to play this are off of the original Game Boy Advance cartridge. And do you know 3 other people who have Game Boy Advances and the cartridge? And the only other way to play it is through a DSiWare game that was only distributed. It was distributed for free, but it was distributed for a limited time. So you don't know anybody who has a DSi or 3DS hanging around that has this. I mean, I have it, but that's beside the point. So yeah, let's do. I'm just going to put that in B because it's good, but it doesn't hold up very well, I guess, because of that. Next up, we've got A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past. I know I've mentioned it before. Is one of my favorite Zelda games. I mean, I have a lot of them that I consider to be favorite games, and this one is on the lower end, but it is still one of my favorites regardless. This is one that I do go back to quite often. Yeah, it just basically took the original formula and perfected it. And, you know, with me being like the first Zelda games I ever really got into and played were Link's Awakening and Ocarina of Time. This is one of the only ones of the original 3 that I really got into and liked. So I'm giving this an S.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I thought from the tenor of that, I thought you were about to put it in A tier, and I was going to be like, you son of a bitch, this channel is over. You refuse to admit the supremacy of A Link to the Past.
No, I give it, there's going to be a lot of them in S. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. But I also kind of look at the tiers here because there's 5 of them, so I look at them, because I normally rate things, on a scale of 5 anyway. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of think, what am I going to rate, like a 5 or a 4 or 3, 2, and 1? A Link Between Worlds was pretty good. I liked it quite a bit on the 3DS there. It did do some things, that one might think. I don't know how to word this. I know that there are a lot of people who didn't like the rental system, but I thought it was kind of a neat idea to take out, more or less, like officially take out the dungeon order, as it were. And I really liked it. Honestly, if I had played this game, I did play the game around the time ago. That's actually part of another rant that I'll get to later. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to put A.
I disagree, respectfully. Taking the item progression out of a Zelda game is like taking passing out of a Madden game. So I would put that at C tier at best, but that's you.
Okay. Here's one of the big ones.
Oh, shit. Oh, this is the part where I quit the podcast.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think there's any... Is there a single video game on Earth that you and I disagree about more than Breath of the Wild? I don't think so.
All right. Now, Greg is under the impression that I hate this game, and I don't. Well, let me tell you, I got this game on the Wii U, and fuck, I don't care if it's on the Switch or the Wii U. It's the same fucking game. I am still, you know,
slightly better on the Switch.
I don't care about graphics and stuff. Okay, as far as content is concerned, it's the same fucking game. I am still planning to give it another shot on the Switch. But from what I played, it was good. I noticed that with Skyward Sword, especially, they were kind of going in more of an Elder Scrolls direction with it, with some of the stuff they had in Skyward Sword. And this was just kind of like the full realization of that. But it didn't feel like a Zelda game to me. It felt like, Nintendo was doing what every other game franchise was doing and making another open world action game like the Elder Scrolls. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I do like Elder Scrolls games, and there are a lot of things I did like about this game. Like I liked the shrines were really cool. I liked exploring. I liked the whole hand gliding thing, that was cool. But I didn't like the combat. I didn't like the fucking your weapon and shield break after you use it 3 times. And people try to back it up with, oh well, you could just find other ones laying around. Well, you wouldn't have to do that if your fucking sword would stay together like it's fucking supposed to. And also you have enemies you can encounter straight away at the beginning of the game that can hit you for 7 heart containers worth of damage, which is bullshit. So for the time being, I'm gonna give it a B.
Who earns?
But who earns? But who knows how it'll be, when I play it again. Four Swords Adventures on the GameCube was pretty decent for what it was. It's not the greatest Zelda game. I mean, it doesn't really, kind of like Breath of the Wild or the original Four Swords doesn't really completely play like a traditional Zelda game. I don't always go back to it. It is fun when you can get friends together, but you have to use Game Boy Advances as controllers, which is kind of annoying. I mean, I did like I beat it, but I did like what I played of it, so I'll put it in B as well. Most of these are going to go into either S, B, or D, by the way. Link's Awakening is the greatest fucking game ever made, S tier.
And everyone stood up and gave me a standing ovation. It really is. It's legitimately one of the greatest games of all time.
It is my favorite game of all time, so no explanation needed there.
No disagreement here. It's absolutely an S tier game.
Majora's Mask on the N64. I love this game a lot. This was one of those games where, I can understand people, not liking it when it first came out. Mm-hmm. People took a shit on it, and then all of a sudden, when word may have been coming around that they were remaking it for the 3DS, people were like, "Oh yeah, I liked that game the whole time. Oh yeah, that was a great game." I'm like, "Where were you fucking 10 years ago?" But no, this is actually one that I like more than Ocarina of Time, just even by a tiny bit. I liked all of the different side stories and whatnot that were going on. There was a lot of emotion in this game. It's creepy as hell in many cases, which in some ways can be depending on how the creepiness is, it can be appealing to me.
I'm nodding my ass off back here, by the way.
Yeah. In agreement. It's just a pure fun to me is how I rate it. Thought of this game, and in all honesty, this is one of the only games in the series that gets away with. For me, I have an 8 dungeons or GTFO rule. This is the only game that doesn't reach that requirement for me, and I don't give a hell. So give a damn. So this is going into S tier for me. Zelda 1. I don't like this game very much.
You're making my heart hurt.
Hear me out. Like I said before, my first Zelda game ever was Link's Awakening, and then the next Zelda game I really got into was Ocarina of Time. And this, when I finally got around to playing this, I think this was like when I was like really into, we were all really into playing emulators and whatnot. It felt like such a huge step backward. Like there was no sense of direction. Everything was kind of a cryptic mess, in my opinion. And while people are right, I guess, to applaud it for being, bringing the series into into being, but it's kind of like how I feel about like the original Metroid or Super Mario Brothers. The game in and of itself can, I will usually have mixed feelings about those as well. And, that this may have, started a formula that people like. But there were games later on that perfected that formula that I obviously did play those for. Like, in this case, it was Link to the Past. And, whenever I played the first Zelda game, I'm like, I'd rather be playing, like, A Link to the Past or Link's Awakening or something like that. Because I was just, I was spoiled by better games, I think. So I don't think it's a bad game, but I don't particularly care for it, so I give it a C.
I'm sorry, did you just say that the original Super Mario Brothers doesn't hold up today?
I don't particularly care for it.
Dude.
With me, I have, I'm a person, I can have my own opinion.
No, you're absolutely entitled to your own opinions.
I'm just like, it's like the original Zelda, I'd rather be playing like Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past or whatever. With Super Mario Brothers, because I don't have the nostalgia for a lot of these games because I didn't have them as a kid. These were games I played later.
That's fair.
Super Mario Brothers, I'm like, I'd rather be playing Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World right about now. Metroid, I'd rather be playing Super Metroid or Metroid Prime.
So you do think that Mario 3 still holds up today?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Ocarina of Time, really, what can you say? It's an absolute classic. I remember hearing people saying this game doesn't fucking hold up today.
What?
Yeah. I think it was Nintendo Life did because when there was some game coming out, there was some Zelda game.
Are they Amish?
It was I think it was Breath of the Wild was coming out. So sometimes when these big games come out on the Switch, Nintendo Life goes and makes a list of all the games in the series and ranks them, and usually puts the new Switch one at the top. So obviously it was for Breath of the Wild, and there were people in the comments saying that the N64 games didn't hold up. But they were willing to fucking what is it?
4 out of 5 people who were dropped on their heads as children agree. The N64 Zelda games just aren't that great when you look back on them.
And yet they were defending shit like Skyward Sword, which I'll get to later. Trust me. It's almost there. But no, Ocarina of Time is again one of my favorite games. While I do like Majora's Mask more, this is another one of the games that really got me into the series. Mm-hmm. I still go back to it. We're playing it right now.
We are
on the channel.
And it's fucking great.
It is still fucking great. It still fucking holds up.
We're not even playing like the 3DS remake. We're playing the original N64 game. And
well, via the Wii U, but still. Yeah, fucking S tier. Figure it out. I don't know why they list the Oracle games separately, in all honesty. These should be basically one entry.
Is there a person out there who's like, Ages is A tier, but Seasons is obviously C tier?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I fucking love these games too. But they really are like two halves of like a single experience. You really can't play one without playing the other afterwards. Maybe it's just because they're based off the Link's Awakening engine, which is why I like them so much. There's really only one thing about these games that I don't like, and it's like one piece of heart you have to use fucking random chance to get, and it's annoying as hell. But other than that, the games are fantastic. I love the password system that links them together. I like being able to... I like the concept of getting a password in one game and then going back to the first game and playing the game some more to get an upgrade for both. I thought it was... we'll be playing these games at some point in the future, and you'll see more of that later, but yeah, I kind of place these like just below Link's Awakening in my personal opinion.
Okay.
So both of these are getting S tier as well.
These are the first two on the list that I have not played.
You should.
And I have actually not played the next 3 that we're going to do. So I need to get on that at some point.
Oh yeah. We're dipping down quite a bit now. Phantom Hourglass was the first game on the DS, and it really goes to show at that time that Nintendo were so far up their asses as far as gimmicks were concerned. That they decided to, in 2007, make a DS game that was full touchscreen controlled. This is about a point where people were, like, other companies were, were like, okay, the touchscreen gimmick, that was a nice thing. We're moving on to real games now. But no, there's like, no, this is the first fucking Zelda game on the DS. Fuck yeah, it's going to be all touchscreen controls. It doesn't work that way.
I've made a terrible mistake.
Oh, no. This is... Phantom Hourglass, I don't know how I played through this fucker twice. I like some of the ideas that were there, but it mostly fell flat on its face. I didn't like going back to the same like central dungeon over and over again to unlock the next one. In all honesty, I think that the only things I did like about this game were the fact that, coming off of Wind Waker, kinda, which was, had its own sailing stuff. Mm-hmm. Phantom Hourglass improved upon that, which I did like. I liked going around in the boat in Phantom Hourglass, and I also like the fact that, and I don't know why more games don't do this these days, especially with touchscreen controls and whatnot. They allow you to make notes on your map, like actually like write notes out and stuff, and that was great. But overall, I don't care for it. I'm giving it a C because I don't wish the D rank upon anything, but at the very least the next couple games coming up. But
I was literally about to say no Zelda game is truly D tier. Then I remembered a couple of the things that are on this list that we haven't gotten.
Yeah, so Phantom Hourglass is C, 2 out of 5. Oh, Skyward Sword.
Oh yes.
We've had to endure much, you and I. Skyward Sword is a fucking piece of garbage. I don't know how people can keep fucking defending this piece of trash. Again, centered around a fucking gimmick. This time the Wii Motion Plus, which was supposed to be like everyone says it's like 1-1 movement. I'm like, yeah, with like a half-second delay. It's terrible. The motion control, no matter what anybody says about that, in my experience, it has been inaccurate. It's inaccurate. It's unreliable. It's like I said, it has lag to it. And every single enemy you have to like kind of maneuver around so that you do all that. You basically end up doing wrong moves anyway, because they have like different ways of guarding and stuff like that. You have to get past like their guard and whatnot, and then they'll like switch it up just at the last second as you're about to do your move because they can see it coming because you're too slow. Fuck that shit. Also, the game is a lot unlike most Zelda games. It's a lot smaller in scope. You basically have the sky area, Skyloft, which is just a fucking like hub world, and then you have 3 areas of Hyrule that you can go to, and that's it. Each of the areas has like 2 dungeons to them, but no, this is a piece of garbage, and I will never play this fucker again.
It's this was a relic of the time that Nintendo thought that what people really wanted was to sit on their couch and sort of flail helplessly while playing video games.
They still think that.
It's inaccurate, it's unresponsive, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah, unresponsive was the other word I was actually thinking of. But if there is one Zelda game that I do hate more than Skyward Sword, it's fucking Spirit Tracks.
Oh god, I've heard this one before.
Spirit Tracks is my most hated game of all time. I forced myself to play through this piece of shit, and it's basically the same thing as Phantom Hourglass, but worse.
Why is it worse, Patrick?
Okay, I mean, the one thing I will give it, you can still make notes on your map. That's the only saving grace this has. The game progression, the story progression, is exactly the same as Phantom Hourglass. They took away a lot of the freedom with the sailing by putting you on a fucking train. Like, you can still like map out your path on the train, but you're on track, so it doesn't really fucking matter. You can change it with switches or whatever as you go. The fucking instant death kill trains that'll run into you. Those are a pain in the ass, especially when you get indestructible ones that are faster and will like make a beeline towards you later on. Those are even worse. Fucking microphone controls. I have asthma. I can barely walk up and down a flight of steps without being winded. You're forcing me to for using an actual item that you're meant to use all the time, blow into the microphone. That's no bueno. You have to use that for the fucking you get a pan flute as your instrument. That's also you have to use the microphone for that. That sucks.
You could say this game blows.
Aha! Yeah, this game is a fucking piece of garbage.
Throw it in the trash where it belongs.
Yes.
In D tier.
Okay. Looking a little bit better with Minish Cap. I'd say Minish Cap was more of a disappointment than anything. In a way. It was just very short, and most of the side content is again hidden behind random chance with the stupid kinstone system. But other than that, the game is pretty solid. I like the shrinking mechanic, where you because there are like certain areas that you can go to when you're shrunken, and that's actually a really cool thing. But overall, I think I beat the game in like a few days, which is like the biggest disappointment for me. But it's okay. I'll give that a B tier. Wind Waker. This is kind of a weird one because there are two versions of Wind Waker. And with the original GameCube version, I think that's what they're going for here. I guess we're looking at all the original versions of each game. Wind Waker was okay. I liked the dungeons in the game a lot. Especially like the last couple dungeons where you got friend. You brought like you would like bring a friend in who would be able to help you with stuff, or you could like switch control over to them and they could solve certain puzzles. That was a really cool thing. But again, it was really short. I'm in the camp that does not like the sailing, especially in the GameCube version. The Wii U version did solve a lot of problems for me. The sailing was made like 150% more tolerable with the Wii U version. And the Wii U version did bring a lot of stuff to the table. But at the same time, the Wii U version also took out the Tingle Tuner. And the Tingle Tuner was, despite the fact that we don't like Tingle in this household.
What do we do if they want Tingle? We politely but firmly ask them to leave.
The Tingle Tuner was actually a cool thing because it allowed for multiplayer co-op. Like a second player would have like the Game Boy Advance, and they could do things like, I mean, it would still cost money in-game money to do so, but you could basically you had infinite bombs that way. You could get like if you needed to refill your life or something like that, you could I can't think of I'm trying to talk faster than I can think. You could like buy a mini red potion that could restore some of your health. So it was actually really convenient. Even if you didn't have another person to play with, it was a really convenient, neat thing to have. But the Wii U version took that out and replaced it with something that has to do with Miiverse. So look at how well that turned out. Either way, Wind Waker I would put in the B as well. It's a good game, but it has a lot of flaws that keep me from going back to it overall. Twilight Princess is fucking amazing. I didn't play when I originally played it, I didn't have a Wii, so I played the GameCube version, so that's probably why I think so highly of it. Because I didn't have to use more trash waggle controls.
Same. I had the GameCube Twilight Princess as well. Yeah,
and while some of the parts with the Wolf Link were a little janky, I very much enjoyed this game overall. The dungeons were really cool. The items you got were very creative. I liked the spinner thing that you could go around the tracks on the walls and stuff. That was really fun. You got a fucking ball and chain that could just like destroy everything. But this is one that I do count among my favorites, so I'm putting this in S tier. And lastly, we got Zelda 2. Let me tell you something about Zelda 2.
please tell me what comes to your mind. Only the good things when you think about The Legend of Zelda 2.
The good thing, I guess, about Zelda 2 is that I can forgive them for being innocent and not knowing better.
I'll tell you about Zelda 2. Blam! Blam!
I mean, I can understand why they went with a lot of the routes they did with Zelda 2 because the first game was a hit, and they may not have known because there wasn't a lot of feedback back then. Like, you didn't have the internet, you couldn't go to Twitter and see people complaining about your game to know what you did wrong. So they may not have known exactly what made the first one so popular with people. So they just kind of like, well, maybe if we made it a little bit more like an RPG or something like that. And then Zelda 2 didn't do so well, and they're like, okay, well we'll just take the first game and make it better, and The Link to the Past was made. Before Spirit Tracks and Skyward Sword came around, this was my most hated game of all time. If you're a veteran to this channel, you will know my feelings on Zelda 2 because I forced myself to play it again for an LP on this channel. And about halfway through, I couldn't stand it anymore and flipped on a Game Genie code for Infinite Magic because I'm like, fuck this shit. I don't care anymore. And then I vowed to never play it again afterwards, and I still held up to that, so that gets a D. So that's my Zelda opinions.
So now that you look at the tier list, what do you think of it now that you've created it?
I
looked at mine and was like, I don't know.
No, this is pretty spot on.
Excellent.
This is pretty spot on to what I feel. Maybe, again, I still have yet to play Breath of the Wild again, so maybe it'll move up or down or whatever. Up and down and all around, but this is pretty accurate to how I feel about the Zelda series as a whole on here. Except for one thing. Mm-hmm. Whoever made this tier list made the huge mistake of not including Hyrule Warriors on here. Because the S rank is highly missing a valuable game, which is, let's face it, the best Zelda game on the Switch right now.
Oh.
I'm sorry. That may change when the Link's Awakening remake comes out. Ay, Dios mío!
I just got beaked.
Apply cold water to burned area.
Oh no.
You got beaked. So yeah, that's my list. Whether you agree with it, whether you don't, you probably don't agree with some of these things. I know.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Right, like, comment, subscribe, all that. Ring the bell if you want to do that. I don't know. We're not getting paid, so.
Fuck you.
I don't know.
No.
Maybe if we have more slow news days, rather than doing podcasts, we'll do more of these tier lists. I can think of a couple I could probably do. But yeah, until then, I've been Rado Goji.
And I'm Soylent Greg.
We'll be here next time. Join us, won't you?